go there to do like continuing education for, so I'm a PA master naturalist, and I have to do a certain amount of hours every year of continuing ed. And Stroud Water Preserve is an awesome, awesome resource for that. I mean, they do stuff there in Europe, Mongolia. They do stuff locally here, all over the world. It's really, really wild. But they do a thing called the leaf pack network. And what leaf packs are, it sounds exactly what it is. They're, when the leaves pack up in creeks like this, there's a good one right down here. I can pull one out here. So this one, so see how the leaves come down, they get pushed against a rock or the root of a tree or something, and they produce, they get stuck into these big leaf packs. And one thing you can do is, a lot of times I'll bring a small, like a little bin with me and fill it up with a little bit of fresh water and pull a leaf pack off the front of a rock. And as you go through it, you'll see small critters running out. This time of year, I'm not sure what we're gonna find. And normally I would do this. Oh, there's a caddisfly. Just had a caddisfly casing. I do it, I'll scoop a little bit of water and just keep it in a little bin instead of doing it in the creek here. But as you go through, you can shake them loose and shake them loose. As you pull out, you'll see stoneflies, mayflies, nymphs, hopefully, because they're all indicator species of the health of the creek. What macroinvertebrates are in your creek can give you an indication of how healthy it is. If you just have water pennies and water worms and nothing else, then it's probably a tier 4 or tier 5 creek, meaning that it's not that healthy. If you have mayflies and stoneflies and caddisflies with cases, they're all indicators of 1 or 2, so it's a really healthy creek. Not well. I mean, drinking water would definitely be a tier 1.
This is considered an impaired stream. So how does that have anything to do with like impaired?
So it probably means that you're probably not going to get any tier 1 here, but you'll probably get, if it's just impaired, you might get tier 2, tier 3. It'd be interesting to do. I'm actually going to do in the spring, do a leaf pack here and just kind of see. So you can do, so these are just natural leaf packs, and these are really cool. So if you have a group of kids or you just want to kind of come down and see what's in the creek, you just grab a leaf pack off of a rock, throw it in the bin, shake it around and see what you get. The more scientific way to do it, if you wind up doing it like through Stroud, and you can go on their website and download the whole packet of how to do it. It's really cool, but you measure it. So what you have to do is first ID what trees are near your creek, and pick out 3 main ones. Out where I do it a lot, it's oak, white oak or red oak, American beech, which they're all over here too, and a lot of the hickories. We have mostly shagbark and pignut. But so you then collect those leaves dry, and you weigh out a certain amount of grams, and you pack it into the little mesh bags that like grapes come in. And what you do is you tie it closed, and you put it in the creek, and you tie it with a string, and sometimes we'll use rebar and pound a little piece of rebar in and tie it to that. If you have a nice big tree root, you can tie it to that. You just want to secure it, whereas if we have a big storm comes through, it's not going to wash away. And you leave it in there for 4 to 5 weeks, and then you come back later and you get a bin and you pull it out of the creek in one quick motion right into your bin. As soon as you start moving it and disturbing it, any animals that are in there are going to try to get out. So you pull it in, and then we just bring it back into the lab, and then we'll pick through it just like I was doing here. We'll pick through it, and we have these big sheets that lay out on the lab tables that have sort of circles, and it has mayflies and caddisflies and water worms and pennies. And we'll just use petri dishes, and we'll go through and we'll sort all the macroinvertebrates that we got out of that pack. And we'll sort them and count them and then return them to the creek. and then we get on their website and we can record all, and you have to keep track of temperature. So we'll go down, we'll bring temperature probes down and take the water temperature. If there are any big storm events that happen, you have to record that. So you record everything over the 5 weeks, and then you put your results in, and they track it from year to year. And you can actually go back, however long you have records in there, you can go back and look at what you had years before. So what's really cool is that we've always had all tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 animals in our creek. We're lucky enough where we are. It's called Little Pony Trail Creek, and it's a tributary to Ridley. That's right into Ridley, right near the border of Chester and Delaware County. And then Ridley, of course, goes all the way down through Chester and into the Delaware. But our creek actually begins on the neighboring property. So we don't have miles and miles of creek before where we are. It's spring fed. It comes up from a spring on a neighboring property and feeds. So we're very careful about what we do on our property, as far as chemicals, things like that. And neighbors seem to be also. It runs through a neighborhood. It's with bigger properties that tend to use ChemLawn and places like that. But we've been real lucky as far as the health of the creek has always been top notch. And I've been doing this project for, gosh, at least 11 or 12 years now. And we've always gotten all tier 1 animals. So, a very nice, healthy creek. But it's a fun thing to do. Like I said, it's either way. You can just come down and grab a pack and go through it just to see what's there, or you want to take the more scientific approach and put that information into the system. Again, it's another citizen science opportunity there. You can kind of figure out the health of your creek and put it into Stroud's information system, and they may need that information later if something's happened in your area, so they're trying to get as many people in the area to do it as they can, and it just builds up a nice data bank for them to be able to track certain things and know. But it's a great project. Like I said, it's super easy. You literally, actually, you don't even really need a bin. You can just do what I'm doing here. You can sit beside a creek and shake stuff out. Now, once they start going and they're in the creek, they're almost impossible to grab. That's why it's nice to have a little bin that you can go through. Then it's just in the bottom of the bin. You can pick them out and look at them and then throw them back in the creek.